talk about this new paper which I have published, topic of which is the rise of South Indians, invisible dimension in decline of jobs for Americans in US economy. So this is the research paper authored by me, and let's move to the next slide. So like I said, the motivation behind making this PowerPoint presentation is to discuss the content, high level overview of the paper, and motivate all of you to go and read the actual paper. So in this slide we touched about few key points like how unemployment in US became so bad. Let's start with analogy. Let's say there was one telecom service provider in entire US. Was it good for common customers? Don't you think they will try to extract something out of ordinary people if there was just one telecom company? What about prices? What about competition? What about anything else? So all of you, I think, will agree that one telecom company won't be good for the entire US economy. Now extrapolate this thing to the job market in US, especially in IT sector, and slowly this random trend is moving to other sectors as well. And the point I'm trying to make is, the central piece of my research and my argument is, if Indian or specifically South Indian monopoly is broken in US IT industry, then a lot of legal immigration abuse will just go away, right? That will just go away. That is the central piece of my argument. And basically, see, the problem right now is South Indians are holding keys. They decide whom they want to hire, whom they don't want to hire, and they will use technical excuses like they will say you are not a team fit, or the person doesn't have a required knowledge or skill set to perform the work. That may be another excuse. So my friends, excuses may be plenty, right? But the bottom line is they hire of their own kind. South Indians always hire people from their own village, their own type, their own cities. And by South India I mean primarily people from two states. One is Andhra Pradesh and second is Tamil Nadu. For your kind information, Andhra Pradesh has now been bifurcated into two states. One is Andhra and second is Telangana, but it's same thing. So just for the sake of simplicity, you can say Andhra Pradesh, the people which are called Telugus, and then you have Tamils who belong to Tamil Nadu. So Telugus and Tamils, these people are controlling global IT industry, including industry of US. And basically right now there is a kind of effort going on where anybody who wants to highlight this propaganda or this practice in the media or on any platform is basically stopped by these people, right? They just bully, they will raise the legal issues, they will start talking about slandering, racial discrimination and this and that. So basically again they rally behind these technical excuses, and same excuses they try to give while when they don't hire others. And on this slide we are discussing a little bit about not to say slide, in the paper we are discussing a little about office politics, like how bootlicking culture has engulfed the US IT industry, right? Why nobody else can find the work. You need to understand all the references, all the project managers, all the recruiting, it's in hand of Indians, and all Americans, although none of them are left in US IT industry, or very few are there. Let's face it, very few people, very few Americans. So they always hear an excuse that look, there are not there are not enough people out there to do this kind of work. So but they never think who is giving this excuse, who is coming up with this theory that there is a scarcity of skilled and qualified resources to perform the task. It is same companies, right? Same Indian companies who are controlling this lobby, who are forming this lobby, who are controlling the recruiting activities. These are the prime vendors. They decide whom they will hire, whom they won't. Let's So again, in paper I have talked about what to do to get employment in US IT market. I think some of these tips will help Americans. They need to understand how Indians gain this edge, and basically why Americans are getting in so much debt because of education, and doing every degree is not worth the price of paper it is printed on, right? Even MBA from so-called few middle drug schools or bottom tier schools, it's not worth to spend so much of money. So basically you need to read the paper. I have put the link there, and you will get glimpse of certain strategies, very very practical tips on how to survive in this industry. And this is not bookish stuff. There are thousands of books, you can go read them, but they won't give you any practical insights as what you can do for your own life as an individual to survive in this market. uh, Policy matters are there. uh, Whenever you may bank on the administration, that administration is going to change the policy, or legal immigration issues will get fixed, and this and that, but those things will take time, right? There is no point in pointing fingers towards anybody. The best solution is you understand what's going on as an individual, you understand the strategies required for your own survival, and go and apply these strategies. No bookish stuff. This is real stuff. These are the real practical insights which you can use from the day one. Let's move to the next. Okay, here as an author, like I said, in the motivation behind making this PowerPoint presentation is to motivate all of you to go and read my paper. So I have discussed types of frauds in American legal immigration system. H1B, L1 visa fraud, you have EB1C fraud. What are these types about? What are the frauds? um, I have included some practical points, some practical examples using real life scenarios, which you can read. And of course I have kept the cost of paper so low that you all can read, and that will help all of you to understand what's going on. Paper will provide some practical recommendations and on how to deal with these frauds. And see, you need to understand the background, context, history, how the present situation happened. I did a research. The research was segregated based on the key employers in a particular geographic area. I divided the employers in sectors, like banking, pharmaceutical, retail, so on and so forth. And then I collected the data to understand how many Indians were employed and how many Americans are there. By American I mean anybody who is a legal citizen of America, or who holds a permanent resident card of America. And I have given a ratio. And I included another column where I have said that what was the job profile these Indians were doing, and can a American with a reasonable intellect trained between 3 to 6 months to do this kind of job. So just to find out answers to these questions, please go and read the paper. Let's move to. So in paper I have discussed the current HR recruiting system in America. What are the various recruiting practices, how they basically recruit people, right? Various tiers to this recruiting practice, like where does web-based system stand, what is the role of prime vendors, what is the role of the layers. I have tried to explain each and everything and give you a context, a perspective to understand what's going on, what you can expect, and how to manage it, right? I've also given some tips for Americans, although I know they are outnumbered now in IT industry or even in other industries as well. I'm seeing the same trend being built up. Businesses claim there is a scarcity of resources. They go and hire more and more people from abroad instead of training Americans, although I will say even training is not required. because there is plenty of talent out there which can be recruited by companies. But even if they think that they want someone to have a knowledge on a very very specific tool, they can always go out and train the person, right? There are enough people here which can do the job. So anyway, you will read about the HR practices, you will understand the current recruiting system, why the situation became so bad, what is the role of prime vendors and all that, which I have already explained. So let's move to the next slide. So I have touched upon outsourcing, explained the differences, outsourcing trends, what is the role of US businesses, and I will say one more thing, don't go with statistics always. Let's say you can say there are n numbers of jobs being added to US economy, but you need to understand few things. First of all, every person is not an Einstein, right? Everybody can't be an Einstein. Everybody cannot invent, that's practically impossible. And everybody cannot be self-employed, so there ought to be jobs to support middle class life in America. So I don't think there is any other argument around it. Even Indians who are porting the practices of favoritism, nepotism or corruption from India to US economy in droves, right, in a quantified magnitude, their next generation will also suffer same things from which the previous generation ran, in first place. See, there is no work-life balance. Indian managers always use philosophy of threat and this and that, and more so in case of Tamils and Telugus, because when you don't have knowledge, you don't have skills, you will use the threat, and you want to use the threat among people of your own kind. Now few people can question that, are you questioning the practices of US businesses? Are they hiring wrong candidates? Well, read my paper. What I'm saying is there is a mafia trend going on in US where these people have captured the senior positions. They are propagating a propaganda that there are not enough people with these skills, and now since they have captured these roles, so they are in positions to hire people of their own kind. You can take an analogy. Let's say one person is a judge, executioner, and sheriff as well, to pick up someone. So you can imagine, right, what will be the status of justice system. That's why you have a trial by jury and all that kind of stuff in America, just to see that legal system is secure to maximum possible extent. I understand every system has its own flaws, but right now we are concentrating on this paper, the rise of South Indians. I have also discussed some of the practical tips you need to figure out, and you need to implement, you need to execute to get the work done from offshore people. I have also explained what can be offshore, what should not be offshore, right? And basically, and this is not bookish stuff. I'm not talking here about psychology or pseudoscience kind of things where you try to judge a person based on where the hand is positioned, on if head is tilted one way or another. No, those things won't help you here. Even to those Americans who think wearing a suit and tie will give you any edge, or speaking English in this kind of atmosphere today, it's not going to work. These things won't help you much, because see, the people who are in these hiring positions are now Indian, and they don't care. They are indifferent people. That's part of Indian culture, right? You should read India's news to understand. But see, you have to understand the culture, you have to understand what's going on, what are the strategies, and then how you can find out your own place among all this competition or competitive environment. Let's move to the next. So in this paper I have also discussed about government policies, and there's a new rule out there in the new proposed rule, and government is currently inviting the comments, and if this rule is passed, the spouses of all H1Bs, they will get employment authorization document, which is known as EAD card. using which they can work for any employer in any US location. That means they can go to small shop and flip burgers. They can cut down the rates. They can build a pizza as well. They can work on pizza store and all that, right? So none of your jobs, even rail sector, will be safe. So I've discussed what are the existing government policies, what is the current US economy, what the future state may be, and a lot of our recommendations and content is truly disruptive in nature. And again, like I said earlier, I've kept the cost very low intentionally so that people can read and improve their understanding of current US economy, right? They can understand the strategies, they can understand what's going on, and then they can figure out what they need to do to gain an employment or survive, or what to study, what not to study. So some of the very practical tips. At the bottom I have given the link. You can just copy and paste this link by opening a new window in browser and going to Amazon and buying the paper, The Rise of South Indians, Invisible Dimension in Decline of Jobs for Americans in US Economy, right? So let's